It all started with a typo. Just one tiny, stupid typo. I was sitting in my cubicle at 10:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, sipping lukewarm coffee, pretending to work while mentally cataloging how much I hated my job. You know the type: gray carpets, fluorescent lights, a manager who spoke only in buzzwords. Let's touch base. Let's circle back. If I ever heard low-hanging fruit one more time, I'd scream. Anyway, our department had just finished this massive quarterly report. Weeks of data, charts, meetings with Janet from finance, who always smelled like stale perfume and judgment. My manager, Kevin, the human embodiment of a LinkedIn post, wanted us to get creative with the storytelling. So I stayed up late 3 nights straight formatting some data narrative garbage just to make him happy. When the report was finally done, I opened Outlook, typed a quick note to my coworker Amanda, and attached the file. I was venting, unfiltered, tired, over it. Subject: Q3 report body. Hey, finish the masterpiece. Hope Kevin chokes on all 38 pages of it. If I have to hear him talk about synergy one more time, I'm gonna throw a stapler. Also, is it just me, or does Janet's perfume get stronger when she's mad? I hit send, and then my stomach dropped. Because as the little whoosh sound played, I realized I hadn't sent it to Amanda. I'd sent it to Kevin. Kevin, my boss. My actual boss. And not only had I just sent a snarky, borderline insubordinate email to him directly, I'd also attached the final version of the report he was about to submit to corporate. The very thing I'd worked overtime to perfect. I stared at the screen, willing the email to unsend itself like magic. My mouse hovered over recall this message, but I knew better. That almost never works. Especially not when the recipient is an obsessive early morning email reader with read receipts on. I waited. Nothing. 10 minutes passed. Still nothing. 20 minutes. No reply. No angry footsteps marching toward my desk. I started to think maybe, just maybe, he hadn't read it yet. At 11:36 a.m., my Slack pinged. Got your email. Let's chat. My office. No emoji. No exclamation mark. Just that. I felt the blood leave my face. My hands were cold. Amanda, seated one row over, looked up as I stood. You good? She asked. Yeah. Just coffee, I muttered, but even I didn't believe it. I walked toward Kevin's office like I was headed to my own execution. Past the printer, past the rows of gray partitions, past Janet, who gave me a tight-lipped smile and clicked her mouse like it had personally offended her. Kevin's door was slightly ajar. He didn't look up when I knocked. Come in. I stepped inside. Shut the door. The click echoed. He was staring at his screen. Then he turned slowly, leaned back in his chair, and folded his arms. So, he began. Tell me more about this stapler-throwing situation. I opened my mouth. Closed it. My mind was screaming 1,000 things at once. Apologize, explain, blame autocorrect, say it was a joke. But nothing felt right. Because the truth was, I'd meant every word. And he knew it. I cleared my throat. Kevin, I'm sorry. That email wasn't meant for you. It was inappropriate. And I take full responsibility. He didn't blink. You take full responsibility? Yes. A pause. Then he smiled. Not a kind smile. The kind of smile someone makes when they've decided something, and you're not going to like what it is. Well, he said, I guess we'll see just how responsible you're willing to be. Then he swiveled back to his screen and said, You're dismissed. I walked out, hard hammering. I knew I'd messed up. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was how that single mistake would snowball into something so much bigger. Something that would cost me more than just my job. Something that would pull apart my life, piece by piece. And it all started with that one stupid email. The rest of that Tuesday felt like I was moving through fog. After I left Kevin's office, I went straight to the break room, shut myself in the single-stall bathroom, and stared at myself in the mirror. My face was pale, and my shirt was wrinkled under the arms. I looked like someone who'd just stepped on a landmine. I replayed the email over and over in my mind. The wording, the sarcasm, the line about Janet's perfume god. Why did I have to go there? If Kevin was feeling petty, he could take that straight to HR as harassment. It wasn't even funny. Just cruel. The worst part? I didn't even hate Kevin. He was a corporate tool, sure, but he wasn't evil. Just annoying. The kind of guy who said, Happy Monday, like it was a threat. The kind of guy who wore a Bluetooth earpiece in meetings. But he wasn't the enemy. And now I'd given him a loaded weapon. In writing. When I got back to my desk, Amanda swiveled in her chair to face me. You okay? I nodded too quickly. Yeah. He just said we need to be more careful about tone in emails. She frowned. That's it. Yeah, I lied. Because I didn't want to say what I'd seen in Kevin's eyes when I stood in his office. Strategy. He wasn't angry. He was planning something. By the end of the day, the Whisper network had already started. You could feel it in the way people glanced up when I walked past. Like they knew something or thought they did. Janet wouldn't even make eye contact. I considered going over to apologize, but honestly, what would I even say? Sorry I passive-aggressively insulted your scent while trash-talking our boss to a coworker who never got the email in the first place? Not exactly a hallmark moment. The real blow came on Wednesday morning. When I arrived, my badge didn't work. I stood at the glass front doors, swiping it over and over again, that ugly denied beep stabbing at my nerves. Finally, the receptionist buzzed me in and said Kevin wanted to see me first thing. I didn't even get to put my bag down. This time, when I stepped into his office, there was someone else there. Tracy from HR. She was already seated, with a folder on her lap and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Kevin gestured for me to sit. Tracy started off with, "This will just be a quick conversation." Lie. "We received a concerning email that you sent yesterday." She went on about professionalism, hostile work environments, and company values. Kevin sat silently, letting her do the talking, but he watched me the whole time, calm, composed, like a man waiting for the punchline. Then she hit me with it. "As of this morning, we've decided to place you on administrative leave pending an internal review." My ears rang. I blinked. "Are you firing me?" "No," Tracy said. "Not yet." I was escorted out. Like a criminal. No time to clear my desk. No time to say goodbye to Amanda. I was told they'd mail me my things. When I got to the parking lot, I sat in my car, staring at the steering wheel, heart pounding. One mistake. One email. And everything was unraveling. I got home, cracked a beer at 10:30 a.m., and sat on the couch in silence. I checked my phone. Amanda had texted, "WTF is happening? Are you okay?" I didn't reply. I opened my laptop and started drafting an apology email to Kevin. I was halfway through typing, "I want to sincerely express my regret," when a new message hit my inbox. It was from an anonymous Gmail address. Subject: "You're not the only one he's messing with." Inside, one line: "Kevin has secrets. And you just made yourself useful." Attached, a screenshot. Kevin. At a bar. Hand on the thigh of someone who definitely wasn't his wife. The timestamp? 2 days ago. Suddenly, my career wasn't the only thing at stake. Now there was leverage. And I had a choice to make. I stared at that email for a long time. I zoomed in on the image, even though I didn't need to. It was definitely Kevin. Same crisp haircut. Same smug grin. Wearing that awful navy blue blazer with the elbow patches he thought made him look professorial. The woman he was with looked young. Like, in turn young. I recognized her barely. Her name was Rachel. She joined a few weeks back, fresh out of college, always wide-eyed in meetings like she was trying to memorize every syllable. His hand was on her thigh. Way too familiar. And judging by the timestamp, this wasn't some old photo dredged up from the internet. This was current. And whoever sent it knew what they were doing. I checked the email address again. Nothing identifiable. Just trueleaks.hr@gmail.com. No name. No signature. Just that one sentence. Kevin has secrets. And you just made yourself useful. Useful. That word sat in my stomach like a brick. It meant I was being pulled into something, whether I liked it or not. I debated responding. Something cautious, like "Who is this?" Or "Why are you sending this to me?" But a part of me was afraid to engage. I didn't know who I was dealing with, or what their angle was. For all I knew, it could be bait. Or worse, part of some bigger trap. But then again, I was already screwed. On forced leave, reputation ruined, practically blacklisted. What did I have to lose? So I replied, "I'm listening." No response. For hours. Around 8 p.m., I got a text from Amanda. "Everyone's talking. Kevin's acting like you had a breakdown. He said you made threats." I almost dropped my phone. Threats? That was a whole new level of spin. I hadn't even raised my voice in his office. But now he was painting me as unstable? My stomach churned. It wasn't just a vendetta. Kevin was setting the stage, framing a narrative. Making sure if I ever came back, I'd be a punchline. Or worse, a liability. He wasn't trying to fire me. He was trying to erase me. And suddenly, that email from the mystery sender didn't seem like a risk anymore. It seemed like an opportunity. At 9:12 p.m., another message arrived. Subject: "You want more?" Body: "He does this all the time. Different women. Same pattern. I have proof. But if you want it, you need to understand something. Kevin is protected. This isn't just about cheating. It's about abuse of power. You go after him. You'd better be smart. You in? Attached. 3 photos. All Kevin. All in compromising situations, grabbing drinks with junior staff, getting handsy at some conference party. One photo where he was clearly whispering something to Rachel while she looked uncomfortable, eyes darting away. There was also a short clip. Security footage, it looked like. Silent. Blurry. Kevin backing someone, Rachel, into a corner near the elevators. Her arms were crossed. His body leaned in, too close. I didn't even finish watching. I hit reply. I'm in. What do you need from me? This time, the response was immediate. Not yet. First, watch your back. You're going to get a call from HR tomorrow. They'll offer a settlement. Don't take it. It's hush money. They want you quiet, not gone. Sure enough, at 9:01 a.m. the next morning, my phone rang. Hi, said Tracy's voice, syrupy sweet. We just wanted to check in. No pressure at all, but we'd like to offer you a small severance package. In exchange for a mutual NDA. Just so everyone can move forward. I asked how much. She named the number. It was insulting. Not even 2 months' pay. I said I'd think about it. But I already knew my answer. Because Kevin had tried to bury me. And now? Now, I had nothing to lose. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, mind running like a machine that wouldn't shut off. Every scene played out in my head on a loop. Kevin's smug grin, Tracy's voice dripping with corporate pleasantries, the security footage. Rachel's posture. Her arms crossed tight like she was trying to disappear. I couldn't get that image out of my mind. This wasn't just about me anymore. I'd screwed up, sure, but Kevin had been screwing people over for years, and no one said anything. Because he wore the suit. Because he smiled in the elevator. Because he played golf with the regional VP. But someone was finally pushing back. And they had chosen me as their leverage. I sat down at my kitchen table with a legal pad and started writing out names. Dates. Anything I could remember. Every time Kevin got too close to a younger coworker. Every time he made a joke that made people shift uncomfortably in their chairs. I hadn't connected the dots before. I think I didn't want to. But now? Now, the pattern was clear. It was a game. And I had just been handed a piece. I called Amanda around noon. Hey, she said, cautious. You okay? Not really, I said, but I need to ask you something. Off the record. A pause. Okay. Have you ever seen Kevin do anything inappropriate? With interns? With Rachel? She exhaled slowly. Why are you asking? Because I think there's a pattern. And someone's trying to expose it. But I need to know I'm not imagining this. Another pause. Then she said, you didn't hear this from me. But, yeah, I've seen stuff. I've heard things. Rachel used to ask if I could walk her to the train after work. Said she didn't like being alone in the building late. That hit hard. Rachel had always looked so eager, so bright-eyed. She came in early, stayed late, always volunteering to help. She just wanted to be taken seriously. And Kevin, he saw that. And took advantage. Amanda continued, HR won't touch it. They've known for a while. One girl from last year's intern group left suddenly, just vanished. She was close with Kevin. Too close. We all suspected. I felt sick. So what now? She asked. I hesitated. I wasn't sure how much I could tell her. But I trusted Amanda more than anyone in that place. I think someone's leaking evidence. I've seen photos. A video. Anonymous emails. Amanda went quiet. Then she said, you need to be careful. I know. No, she said. Careful. You're going up against someone with a title and a corner office. HR won't save you. The company won't either. They'll protect him until they have no choice. I already knew that. But hearing her say it solidified it. This was war. And in war, you needed allies. That night, another email came through. Subject, ready to play? Body, you passed the test. You didn't take the money. You didn't fold. Good. Now we show them what Kevin really is. Attached was a file. A voice memo. I hesitated. My hands were actually shaking. I hit play. Rachel's voice. Quiet. Tired. Shaky. He said if I wanted a future here, I had to make myself useful. He put his hand on my back and started guiding me toward his office. I told him no. He said I was being dramatic, that I should be careful who I talk to if I want to stay in the industry. My breath caught in my throat. Then Kevin's voice, recorded, low, smug. No one's gonna believe you, Rachel. You're just another intern with ambition. I'm a director. You want to play games, play them somewhere else. The message ended. No timestamps. No explanation. Just truth. Raw. Undeniable. And now it was in my hands. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen. My heart was thudding like a drumbeat in my chest. I knew what I had to do. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about justice. But the problem with truth is that sometimes the people in power will do anything to bury it. I thought I knew what I was getting into. I really did. I figured once I had the recording, all I had to do was take it to HR, show them Kevin for what he was. Let the evidence speak for itself. I forgot one small detail: HR doesn't work for us. They work for the company. I woke up the next morning with fire in my chest. I felt it, the shift. I wasn't the guy groveling to get my job back anymore. I had something now. Something undeniable. Kevin's voice. Rachel's pain. I wasn't just the angry employee who sent a snarky email. I was a witness now. Maybe even a whistleblower. At 9:03 a.m., I sent an email to Tracy in HR. Hi Tracy, I've come into possession of some deeply troubling information regarding misconduct within the company. I believe it warrants a serious internal investigation. I'd like to schedule a formal meeting to present evidence. Sincerely, my name. I sat by my laptop for 20 minutes, rehearsing what I'd say. Then my phone buzzed. Voicemail. From Tracy. No email reply. No meeting request. Just this. Hi, just got your message. I understand you may be upset over recent events, but I'd caution you to be careful with accusations like this. They can damage careers, yours included. Let's not let things escalate unnecessarily. Let's talk calmly. Maybe Monday. Okay. I didn't move. Not a single part of me. Because that voicemail wasn't concern. That was a threat dressed in a smile. That was her warning me to let it go. And I realized they already knew. Someone had tipped them off. Maybe Kevin had been sniffing around. Maybe Rachel had confided in the wrong person. Or maybe this anonymous whistleblower had more enemies than I thought. Either way, the line had been drawn. They weren't going to help. They were going to circle the wagons. I picked up my phone. Texted Amanda. I need to meet. In person. She replied in minutes. We met at this quiet cafe on the edge of town. The kind of place with low lighting, old jazz, and nobody asking too many questions. I laid it all out, everything. The emails. The audio. Tracy's voicemail. Amanda listened in stunned silence. When the recording played, her hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. I need help, I said. I can't do this alone. She looked down, fingers tightening around her mug. Then she said something I didn't expect. You're not alone. I blinked. What do you mean? She looked around to make sure no one was listening. There are others. 3, at least. 1 from marketing, 2 from HR. They've seen stuff. Lived through it. Everyone's been too scared to come forward. But if you're serious, if you go public, they might back you up. My mind was spinning. How do I find them? I already have their names. I'll reach out. Carefully. And just like that, things shifted again. I wasn't fighting this alone anymore. But that night, around 11:50 p.m., something strange happened. I got a knock on my door. Not a loud one. Not panicked. Just measured. I looked through the peephole. No one. Just an envelope taped to the door. No return address. No markings. Just a small, manila envelope with my name written in thick black ink. Inside, a USB drive. No note. No explanation. I plugged it in, heart pounding. One file. Boardroom_0410.mp4. I hit play. Grainy footage. Hidden camera angle. The room looked like one of the upper floor conference suites, the kind with the glass walls and soundproofing. Kevin was there. So was Tracy. And someone else I didn't recognize, a man in a suit, silver hair, clearly senior. Kevin was talking. He's unstable. If this leaks, we frame it as retaliation. Fired employee with an axe to grind. No one will take him seriously. Tracy and the girl. Kevin shrugged. She signed an NDA. We'll say it's edited. AI, deepfake, whatever's trending. Silver-haired man nodded. Keep it internal. Clean. We can't afford noise right now. We're prepping for acquisition. We go nuclear if we have to. Then silence. I paused the video. Acquisition? That was it. That's why they were scrambling. They weren't just protecting Kevin. They were protecting a sale. Which meant if I timed it right, if I made enough noise, there was no way they'd risk going through with it while this story was circling. The video was the sword. Now, I just needed a platform. and someone brave enough to swing it. There's a moment, right before you jump off a cliff into water, when your body forgets the difference between fear and thrill. That's what pressing send felt like. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The day after the USB envelope showed up, I drove 2 towns over and checked into a cheap motel off the highway, just a dingy room with buzzing lights, a stained carpet, and a view of a dumpster. But I needed space to think. Quiet. A place off the radar. Amanda was working behind the scenes, carefully reaching out to the women she'd mentioned. She used burner emails, encrypted messages, even an old Reddit burner she still had from college. And the responses? People were scared. But they were listening. Some wanted to help. Others were hesitant, worried about retaliation, about their names getting dragged through mud. It wasn't just about Kevin anymore. It was about survival. Corporate politics. Power. At 1:14 a.m., Amanda texted me 3 words that snapped everything into place. I found Rachel. My pulse jumped. We arranged a call using a secured app. Rachel's voice on the line was quiet, worn out, cautious. I didn't ask for any of this, she said. I just wanted to do a good job. I know, I told her. You don't owe anyone anything. But if you're willing to speak, just even anonymously, it could change everything. Silence. Then, softly, you really think it'll matter? I paused. If we do it right, yeah, it'll matter. She told me about the pressure, the long hours, the way Kevin used compliments like bait. The isolation after she said no. The coldness. The sudden drop in responsibilities. The subtle punishment. And she confirmed it. Kevin had forced her to sign an NDA. Threatened her career. Said he'd blacklist her from the industry. You're not the only one, I told her. There are others. We're going public. She didn't say anything for a while. Then she whispered, send me the statement. I'll add mine. I don't remember much after that. Just that my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I called in a favor from a college friend who worked in digital media. A journalist. Not the kind who chases clicks. The kind who cares. We met in a grocery store parking lot. She brought her laptop and a recording mic. I brought everything, the audio, the video files, the emails, the timeline. I even played her the boardroom footage from the USB. She didn't blink once. By the time we were done, it was 3 a.m. She looked at me and said, this is going to explode. I nodded. Good. And then, 2 days later, the article dropped. Headline. Whispers in the boardroom. Allegations of abuse and corporate cover UPS rock company name. It was a long-form expose, filled with quotes from multiple women, anonymous, except Rachel, who asked to go public, verified evidence. Documents, screen grabs, and the full transcript of the audio files. The footage from the USB? They couldn't publish it directly, but they used stills and carefully worded references. Enough to confirm its existence without exposing the source. Within 4 hours, it was trending on Twitter. Within 8, it hit national outlets. And by the end of the day, Kevin's name was everywhere. I watched it unfold from my motel bed, phone lighting up nonstop. What the hell did you do? Text from a former coworker, we're behind you. Thank you for doing what we couldn't. Amanda, Rachel is so brave. So are you. From someone I didn't even know, HR is panicking. Executives are holding emergency meetings. You just set the place on fire. From an anonymous number, and then silence. A long, eerie silence. Until my phone rang. Private number. I picked up. Hello. A low voice. Calm. Too calm. You've made a very expensive mistake. Click. That was it. No name. No threat. Just a reminder that even when you tell the truth, there's always a cost. I stared at my phone for a long time, hand frozen in midair. And it hit me. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The next morning, I found a dead bird on the hood of my car. It was laid out perfectly, wings folded, eyes glazed over, like someone had placed it there, not like it had fallen. No blood. Just stillness. It could have been nothing. Or it could have been a message. Either way, I didn't touch it. Just stared, heart pounding in that slow, dull rhythm that comes with being watched. I scanned the motel parking lot. One other car. A cigarette but still burning near the trash bins. No faces. I took a photo. Got in the car. Drove off without looking back. That day was a blur. The article had gone full viral. People I hadn't talked to in years were messaging me. High school friends, old coworkers, even my college ex who once told me I'd never stick the landing. Everyone had an opinion. Some praised me. Some called me a liar. Others just wanted the gossip. But in the comments, beneath all the noise, were the stories that mattered. This happened to me in my first job. I didn't say anything. Wish I had. To the girl in the article, Rachel, you were so brave. I hope Kevin rots. This is exactly why women stay quiet. And exactly why they shouldn't. It spread like wildfire. Every hour brought a new repost, a new article summarizing the expose, a new breaking news banner on LinkedIn. The company issued a bland statement around noon. We take all allegations seriously and are conducting an internal review. The individual in question has been placed on temporary leave pending investigation. Temporary leave. That was their version of slapping a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. But it wasn't going to be enough. Not this time. Because people were furious. And Rachel? She wasn't hiding anymore. She was speaking. That afternoon, she posted a simple message on her LinkedIn. I stayed quiet because I was scared. I'm not scared anymore. I stand by everything I said. And I'm not the only one. Within minutes, it had thousands of reactions. The comment section turned into a war zone. Support. Outrage. A few trolls, of course, but they were drowned out by the roar of people who were finally done being silent. And then, the second wave hit. More women came forward. 2 interns from 2 years ago. 1 from Kevin's previous company. Even someone who worked under Tracy. All telling similar stories. Subtle pressure. Unspoken threats. Promises dangled like carrots, then ripped away the moment you resisted. The company couldn't contain it anymore. They held an emergency press conference the next morning. Kevin was not present. Tracy was not present. The CEO gave a statement filled with legalese and performative sadness. They called it a failure in oversight. They promised transparency moving forward. But the damage was done. And here's the thing no one tells you about being the first to speak up. They come for you. The anonymous email started that night. Not the helpful kind. The other kind. Enjoy your 15 minutes, snitch. Hope you like being unemployed. No one's going to hire a whistleblower. Should have kept your mouth shut. Then came the email from a law firm. Corporate lawyers. Accusing me of defamation, unauthorized disclosure, and, you guessed it, violating company policy. They didn't send it with a threat of suing me. They sent it with confidence. Because they thought I'd break. Thought I'd back down now that I had their attention. But I didn't. I sent the letter straight to my journalist contact. She connected me with a legal advocacy group that specialized in whistleblower protection. Turns out, I had more allies than I realized. Turns out, truth might be expensive, but I wasn't paying for it alone anymore. Then something happened that made every part of me stop. Rachel called me. Not messaged. Called. She said, there's something you need to see. Something we missed. I frowned. What is it? She hesitated. Then, it's not just Kevin. He wasn't acting alone. Rachel's voice was tight, almost trembling. Not afraid, no, she'd moved past fear, but like she was holding back an avalanche and barely keeping it together. I sat in my car outside a gas station when she called, still gripping a half-melted coffee. The sky was darkening, and the clouds looked like bruises. What do you mean? I asked. He wasn't acting alone. She took a shaky breath. There's a thread I pulled. It started small. I went through some of the old onboarding materials, trying to find dates, emails I forgot I had access to. I found something. A name. Whose? Tom Granger. I paused. That name rang. Loud. The VP of Operations? Yeah, she said. Turns out he was copied on a lot of Kevin's internal conversations. Memos. Performance reports. HR complaints. Some of them flagged Kevin's behavior. Language. Patterns. Tom saw all of it. And he did nothing? No, she whispered. He didn't do nothing. He signed off on Kevin's bonus last year, 3 weeks after an intern filed an anonymous complaint. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Granger wasn't just some disconnected executive. He was complicit, which explained a lot, the sudden hush around certain cases, the way complaints disappeared. Kevin wasn't operating in the shadows. He had cover. A network. And that network had teeth. This is bigger than I thought, I said. Rachel exhaled. It's systemic. The next few hours were chaos. Amanda texted me a PDF, something she got from one of the other women. An internal memo. Not public. Not meant to be. Dated last year. Subject line. Employee conduct review. Mitigating brand risk. It wasn't about fixing behavior. It was about hiding it. Buried in legalese was a strategy. How to manage sensitive internal concerns involving senior employees. How to pre-frame potential narratives and align corporate response to uphold executive integrity. They weren't dealing with complaints. They were managing optics. It was a cover-up, carefully worded, legally armored, but a cover-up nonetheless. I knew we needed to escalate, take this beyond viral posts and tweets. So I reached out to the journalist again. I've got more, I told her. This goes higher. We met that night in a diner off I-95. She brought a recorder. I brought the documents. She read through them quietly, slowly, her eyes narrowing. Then she looked up and said, "This is going federal." I blinked. What? You just crossed the line from scandal to investigation. This isn't just workplace harassment anymore. It's corporate negligence, suppression of abuse, possible obstruction. She was already dialing. By the next day, she'd handed the story to a federal watchdog group. The kind that doesn't knock. The kind that subpoenas. Meanwhile, social media had turned into a war zone. Former employees started posting screenshots, emails, meeting notes. The hashtag Justice for Rachel started trending. And then something surreal happened. The CEO resigned. Just like that. A LinkedIn post with empty language about new opportunities and focusing on family. No mention of the storm. 2 hours later, Kevin's profile vanished. Not updated. Deleted. Like he'd never existed. But the company's silence said everything. They were trying to cauterize the wound. And then I got a voicemail. Not from a blocked number this time. From Granger. I listened to it 3 times. His voice was calm. Friendly, even. "Hey there. Thought I'd reach out directly. I think things have gotten a little out of hand. Maybe we should talk. Face to face. You and me. Get some clarity." He left a number. Told me to call when I was ready to be reasonable. And in that moment, I realized they still thought they could fix this. That I could be bought. Or scared. Or spun. But the problem with pulling on a loose thread is, eventually, the whole thing unravels. And I was already holding the end of the rope. I didn't call Granger back. I wanted to. God, I wanted to hear what lies he'd spin. What kind of deal he'd dangle in front of me like a bone in front of a starving dog. But I knew how that conversation would go. He'd flatter. Then minimize. Then threaten. It was the corporate triad. I'd seen it play out too many times from the cheap seats. But now, I was in the ring. And I wasn't playing by their script anymore. Instead, I forwarded his voicemail to the journalist and to the legal advocacy group that had picked up my case. No commentary. Just the audio. Let the words speak for themselves. The reply from my lawyer came 5 minutes later. If they're reaching out directly, it means they're scared. Keep all communication recorded and archived. We'll handle the rest. For the first time in weeks, I allowed myself the tiniest flicker of hope. But Granger wasn't done. The next day, someone tried to break into my motel room. It was subtle. The lock scratched. A small pry mark near the handle. Nothing taken. Nothing moved. Just touched. I filed a police report. But I knew the truth. It wasn't about theft. It was about a message. I texted Rachel and Amanda, "Be careful. We just hit a nerve." Rachel replied, "Already noticed. Someone followed me home last night. Different car than usual. Tinted windows." Amanda, "HR's gone silent. It's creepy. Like everyone's waiting for orders." This wasn't paranoia anymore. It was control unraveling. Then came the next blow. An email sent to my entire LinkedIn network. From a burner account, posing as a former colleague. The subject line, "Just so you know who you're supporting," inside was a rambling mess of half-truths. That I'd been fired for harassment, that I was manipulating women to push a narrative, that I was unstable and on a vendetta. Screenshots were doctored. Messages fabricated. It was vile. It was also desperate. I didn't even get mad. I just forwarded it to my lawyer and went back to work. Because here's the thing they didn't understand. When you lose everything, you become dangerous. Not because you want revenge, but because you have nothing left to protect. The story was snowballing now. Mainstream media had picked it up. Rachel gave a televised interview, face blurred, voice distorted, but her words landed like thunder. I was threatened. Not with violence, but with silence. I was told no one would believe me. And for a while, I believed that. Until someone else stood up. That last part? That was about me. And I wasn't ready for how that would feel. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a guy who'd accidentally dropped a match and now had to walk through the fire he'd started. The lawsuit threats started pouring in from the company's legal team. Corporate speak dressed as concern, cease and desists, formal complaints, even a personal attack filed in civil court, accusing me of public defamation with intent to destabilize. I laughed when I read that one, intent to destabilize, as if I was some kind of activist, some shadowy saboteur. I wasn't. I was a guy who sent the wrong email. And maybe that's what scared them most, because if someone like me could unravel this whole thing, no one was safe. That night, I got a message from Amanda. It's happening. Tomorrow. Internal memo says the board's meeting at 9 a.m. to vote on emergency leadership restructuring. I sat there, staring at the message, unable to breathe for a second. Then Rachel called. Are we actually doing this? She asked, her voice small. No, I said, smiling for the first time in weeks. We already did. And I knew, whatever happened next, this would be the final act. The endgame. The moment where everything either burned down or finally began to rebuild. The board met at 9 a.m. sharp. I didn't need to be in the room. I already knew how it would go. Too many eyes were watching now, journalists, legal observers, former employees, the entire damn internet. The company had been backed into a corner, and even their lawyers couldn't spin this anymore. At 10:37 a.m., it happened. A press release dropped, cold, clinical, and exactly 206 words long. Effective immediately, Kevin R. is no longer employed with company name. We thank him for his service and wish him well in his future endeavors. In addition, VP of Operations Tom Granger will be retiring early, citing personal reasons. We remain committed to creating a safe and inclusive workplace and will be launching an independent review of all internal policies. That was it. 2 sentences to bury 2 careers. But I knew better. They weren't just burying Kevin and Granger. They were burying the evidence. Still, it was something. And for Rachel, for all the women who came forward, it meant the weight they'd carried for so long had finally started to lift. But for me, it wasn't over. Because as soon as the announcement hit, I got an email from Tracy. The subject line just said, "We both lost." I opened it. I know you think you won, but you didn't. You scorched the earth. Everyone loses when things go public. You'll never work in this industry again. You made too much noise. Good luck, though. You'll need it. I sat there staring at the screen, not angry, not even surprised, just tired. Tracy, ever the company woman, clinging to the last thread of a world that was crumbling beneath her. But she was right about one thing. I had scorched the earth. And I had no illusions about walking away clean. I had become radioactive. Job prospects? Dead silent. Recruiters ghosted me. A few quietly messaged saying they admired the courage, but couldn't take the risk. Not in this climate. Not with this much press. Amanda said, lay low. Let it pass. But I didn't want to lay low. I didn't want it to pass. I wanted it to mean something. That's when Rachel called again. Her voice was different this time, stronger. There's this nonprofit, she said. They help people who go through workplace harassment, retaliation, blacklisting. They want us to speak. Together. I paused. Like? At a panel? Like at a conference? Media. Government reps. HR professionals. We'd be the case study. I almost said no. I was exhausted. Still paranoid. Still sleeping with my phone under my pillow. But then I thought about that first email, the one that started this mess. The one I meant for Amanda. The one that landed in Kevin's inbox and cracked open the floor beneath me. How something so small had exposed something so big. And how maybe that wasn't an accident. Maybe I'd been part of something I didn't understand at the time. Maybe I still didn't. But I said yes. And a month later, I stood next to Rachel on a stage, staring out at a sea of faces. HR directors, journalists, whistleblowers, survivors, real people with real scars. And I told the story. From the beginning. From the typo. From the whoosh of the email sending. To the boardroom tapes. The threats. The silence. The fire. I told them what it cost. What it changed. What it broke. And what it built. When I finished, people clapped, not politely. Not out of obligation. They clapped like it meant something. And for the first time since this all started, I felt something crack open in my chest. Not anger. Not pride. Just release. Afterward, someone from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission approached me. Said they were starting a task force to investigate patterns like this across industries. Asked if I'd be willing to consult. I said yes again. Because I may never work in that world again. But I wasn't trying to go back. I was trying to go forward. And if this whole mess, this fallout, this chaos, meant someone else would be braver, or safer, or heard, then maybe that one stupid mistake wasn't a mistake at all. Maybe it was exactly what needed to happen. Because sometimes the fire you start isn't destruction. It's a signal.